And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Benched with Bubba, episode 756. It's a Monday, so we're back recapping the week in FAAB, the week 2 OC NFBC FAAB, talking some recent news because there's some IL stints coming early and often already this season. We'll hit on that and much, much more. You can find me on Twitter at BDintric, and my co-host, as always, on Twitter at BreakingBen_T. Ben Tid, how we doing, my friend?
Doing very well, Bubba. I was watching the Mets earlier and no Yankees tonight, so it was just nice watching baseball and relaxing. Again, it's starting on the weekend's always tricky because there's always stuff going on. But now that the week's starting and there's a full slate of games, or almost full slate, it's nice to have a game on in the background at least while you're doing something.
Yep, I agree. I was thinking the same thing. I got home from T-ball practice, threw the TV on in the office, got the Giants game. There's like 6 games on MLB TV. Like it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's all over the place. We can watch a little bit of everything. How are your torpedo bats doing? You good?
They are firing away. It has been a great start to the season.
Yeah, like it's just funny because everyone wants to blame the Yankees, but like everyone's doing it now. I guess not even just a Yankees thing. They just kind of unleashed it first. It feels like I love Aaron Judge. Did you see Aaron Judge's comment about it?
Yeah, he doesn't need it. He's like,
so
check my resume or whatever he said.
Yeah, it was so good. That was such a just alpha move. Like, hey, why aren't you using torpedo bats? Like, do I just look like I need torpedo bats? That's beautiful. Beautiful stuff right there. But all right, let's get into some of these IL stints. We'll talk some OC FAAB as usual. But first one's not an IL stint, Ben. It's a suspension. An 80-game suspension that dropped about maybe 2 hours ago, give or take, before this recording. Jurickson Profar busted steroid or substance, a substance not legally used on the substance list. Let's put it that way. I was going to say substance abuse, but that's probably not the right way to go about it. Yeah. So he's going to be 80 games without pay. Dunzo for now. We'll see him later this season because this is how this operation works. I saw it came out. It was, I think it was something CHG or something. It was a masking agent that people that use steroids use to when they finish a cycle of steroids type thing. So that's how they got him. They didn't necessarily get him for the actual steroid. They got him for the masking agent. That's what Manny Ramirez was busted for. Jurickson Profar, clearly a drop, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was already unsure if he was able to repeat what he did last year, and now you're out half the season. And this kind of just, I don't know, justifies my skepticism about if it was really real last year, what he did, and who knows now, because there's a good chance he could have been on something all last year. And the underlying skills look good, but the hard hit could directly be related to whatever he was taking. Who knows? So I was talking to a friend of mine because I run my Yahoo league, and he has Profar. He goes, what do I do with them? Like, can I put him on the IL? Can I put him on the NA? And I think even in those leagues, there's no designated spot for Profar. So unless you have a super deep bench, maybe you hold on to him. But I feel like he is a drop, though, in most formats.
Yep, definitely a drop in pretty much all formats. If not, if you can stash, go for it. But I'm not sure what you're going to get back in the end, as we haven't seen many of these steroid guys come back and be productive right away. So Profar is pretty much gone for now. That frees up, like we were talking, Jared Kelenic and Brian De La Cruz platooning in Atlanta. Obviously, Acuna comes back eventually. We're hoping end of April, maybe a little earlier, but kind of shooting for the end of April, give or take. So while Acuna's out, it looks like De La Cruz and Kelenic might both get some reps out there. We know Alex Verdugo was signed, one of your favorites, was signed to a contract. He's getting loose in the minors. He'll probably get called up rather quickly now. Like urgency just went up on that phone call. But how would you approach this for fantasy? Is there someone worth adding? I guess it's a mess.
Well, I had Kelenic on at least one team, and I was looking for outfielders in certain spots this past weekend. I did have bids for Kelenic at one point in those leagues. I think I may have pulled those bids back where I was going to drop Heston Kjerstad and I decided that because of the uncertainty with the Colton Cowser injury last night. And luckily, I think I made the right move by not dropping Kjerstad. So I would have been potentially adding Kelenic for Kjerstad in a league or two, just for the playing time, because it looked like Kjerstad wasn't going to play, and Kelnic's on the strong side of the platoon right now, at least. Still, well, per roster resource, they have De La Cruz as a starter plus Kelenic, but Kelenic still would be in a platoon with maybe Eli White or whoever else they would want to throw out there. At that point, I think you just let Kelenic try to hit lefties instead of having Eli White take at bats away from him because Kelnick's still 25 and a half, 26. So relatively young and could potentially break through at some point. But I think for 12s, Kelnick's probably just a stream. But like for me with the 15s, he's a pretty solid target. Well, he's going to be in a decent lineup. The bottom half's a little shaky now with all these guys hurt and now suspended. You got Drake Baldwin, De La Cruz, Kelnick, and Arcia 6 through 9, excuse me, which isn't the best, but the top is still as good as any lineup, arguably. So I think Kelnick's a good target. De La Cruz maybe too. I'll have to see if he's available now after this, but I'm sure he is definitely in 15s and 12s.
Yeah, I've been a big De La Cruz fan for the last few years. Obviously, last year didn't go as planned. I was kind of excited when he signed with Atlanta and then Jurickson signed. I'm like, well, there goes that idea. That's out the window. I wouldn't mind him getting a shot if it is not a platoon situation. Again, we have to kind of wait and see. I wouldn't be shocked if by the end of this week Verdu goes up and now we do have a platoon again type thing and until Acuna comes back. But a lot of moving parts. Most of these guys are going to be streamers in 12s, like Ben said. Maybe have some more footing in a 15. And again, just remember when Acuna comes back, this could all change again. So a lot of moving parts in Atlanta. And hey, they even traded for Stuart Fairchild earlier today, so maybe they knew this news was dropping. I'm laughing when I look back with 5 hours. It was 5 hours before on Underdog that the Profar news broke. The Stuart Fairchild trade was announced. So that was like, maybe they're preparing for an open outfield spot on the team. Who knows?
I'm sure they know ahead of time. And yeah, he would be the Kelnick platoon partner now if De La Cruz is a full-timer. So makes sense.
All right. You kind of talked about Heston Kjerstad a second ago, and it comes into this play now.
Mm-hmm.
Colton Cowser. Moo. More like boo. Right about now. Colton Cowser is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks with a broken thumb, fractured thumb, when it bent completely back when he slid headfirst into first base, which is not always the smartest thing to do. We have the good Dr. Jim in the Discord, so this is more like a 10 to 12 week thing if he has surgery. So that's something to monitor in the next few days. Is it just they let it heal, or does he actually get to go under the knife for this one? So I ask you this, Ben. Like in a 12, I'm dropping Colton Cowser. In a 15, are you holding Colton Cowser?
Well, in a 15, I have Zach Veen right now. So I guess if Cowser's your only stash, I'd say, then sure, why not? If there's no one if you don't really need a replacement bat right now, I think his upside's good enough where he's worth holding on to for as long as you can. But if say you lose a starter, or say you have Reynaldo Lopez as well, and then someone else gets injured, then maybe you do cut Cowser. But I try to hold on because he was like sometimes a top 10 round pick in 15s, usually more like a 11 or 12th rounder, which is still a very valuable player. And he was almost 2010 last year, I think Cowser was, and with some pretty good upside, I think, underneath that as well. So it stinks. But who knows what he'll be like after he returns, because the thumb is pretty important for when you're hitting. I don't know if it's left or right, but maybe the left one matters more since he is left-handed. But yeah, I try to hold on to him if you can. If not, I get the drop because it's 2 months at least, and that's a pretty good chunk of the season.
Yep. It's his left thumb that got fractured there. Probably a drop for me just for again. It's one of those. It's tough because if you hold him and then he has a setback or something, now you just you'll never know. But now you're wasting a hold, or you're doing this. It just turns into a thing. Like we always say, you get one stash. So I agree with that. But just know that if someone else gets hurt, then Cowser's probably the odd man out type deal as you go through that. If you have IL stints, put him on your IL, obviously. But for NFBC standards, he's a drop for me in 12s. What about Heston Kjerstad? How excited would you be to pick him up?
Pretty excited. I think he was like 1 for 3 today or something. Maybe had an RBI. And it was against a lefty, too. So the key is to see if he starts versus Garrett Crochet tomorrow, Kjerstad. I doubt he would because that's a pretty tough matchup.
Yep.
But I hit like 6 or 7 today, I think Kjerstad did. So, yeah, I wanted to keep him for sure, and I'm glad I did hold on to him a couple spots. But he's probably more of a 15 sort of upside play, Kjerstad. I don't know about 12s right now, but just keep your eye on him.
Yep, I'm with you. He's probably deeper for sure. I haven't been sold on him yet, but again, it comes down to regular playing time, and it looks like he may get that for the next couple of months, which could be huge to determine if it's worth it or not, obviously. But you have to get there early because if we see him play even 75% of the games this week, he's going to be a very popular pickup when we talk next week. Let's just put it that way. Ronaldo Lopez, you mentioned him. Let's go back to the Braves. They're having a lot of fun today. A lot of fun on a Monday. Ronaldo Lopez to the IL with right shoulder inflammation. I mentioned it in the Discord after his last start. Velocity was down. I think he had 3 total whiffs or something. It was a lot of pitch to contact, and it wasn't just because he was trying to pitch to contact. It's because he had nothing. He really had nothing out there. So actually the fact he got done what he got done was impressive, but was very concerning to me. This is his second stint on the IL with the shoulder inflammation in the last 6 months, as he did this last September as well, Ben. Very concerning for me, to say the least.
I agree, because he was one of the reliever to starters last year who had success. And it was just hard for me to pay the price for Reynaldo in drafts this year. Just unsure of how he'd respond. And he was so lucky last year as well. His ERA was well below his estimators. So now looking at the rotation for the Braves, they have Bryce Elder in there. So he feels like the 1-for-1 Strider swap. So it seems like AJ Smith-Shawver and Grant Holmes are safe for now. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of either of those guys. I don't have Smith-Shawver anywhere. And I have Holmes in maybe 2 teams at the most. Definitely 1. That's it. So I'm missing out. I wish I had some more of that pie, but yeah, I'm not sure what the timeline would be for Reynaldo. It could just be a minimum stay and he feels better, but who knows with the shoulder.
Yeah, right now they're saying it's 15 days. They're going to let him settle down and kind of get reevaluated. When he had this injury last year, it was a 3-week IL stint for Ronaldo. So just a minimum, I'd say 3 to 4 weeks is what we're getting with Ronaldo Lopez out. So again, if you can handle that, sure. I feel like there's going to be more to this, unfortunately, is the way I feel. It just doesn't seem like one thing where he's just going to come back and be good again right away. There's going to be some hiccups, I feel. So Smith-Shawver, as you mentioned, looks like he's good to go. Obviously, Grant Holmes seems good to go. Strider's pitching well, and he got up to 65 pitches in his last rehab. So maybe one more rehab start for Strider, 2 max before we see him. So it'll be maybe a short-lived stint for Bryce Elder up there as they go through that.
Do you think they push Strider a lot, or what do you think happens? Because they kind of need him now for the whole full year, but do you have him go the whole year if he's able to? The Braves might have to go out and get a starter at some point, it feels like.
I think they might need to get a starter. And there's the other thing is every team says they want to do it. It never happens, but they would be perfect for a 6-man right now. Because you got Shawver, who's young. You have Grant Holmes, who still hasn't put a full season together. But if you do that, you can also limit Strider. You can get these guys to pitch longer. A 6-man might not be the worst thing. We know how that never comes to fruition when teams say they're going to. But if any team could do one and use it, it's them right about now. That's for darn sure. But I'm with you. I think they're going to have to make a move. And we know there are some names out there that were rumored before the season that never got traded. So here you go. We'll see what happens.
They do have Jose Suarez in the bullpen.
Yeah, and he came in after Smith-Shawver yesterday. Because Smith-Shawver looked good, but his pitch count got high because he had his control issues, which most of these young kids do nowadays. And Suarez came in through a couple innings, looked good. Suarez is that guy that I know I've streamed before. I know others have. You maybe have as well. That on paper, the stuff looks really good. The consistency on the mound are 2 different things. Yeah. That's just the hardest way to describe him. He should be a lot better than the stats look. That's the thing. All right, Tampa Bay / Steinbrenner Stadium Rays. This is not good. Josh Lowe, oblique injury, grade 2 this time. Same oblique as last year. He had grade 1 and missed 2 months of baseball. You could see it in his face when it happened. You could hear it in his post game when he was talking about it. This is a minimum of 3 months to me, Ben, is what it feels like, a minimum. This is an auto drop, and it sucks because we know how talented Josh Lowe is. It just feels like we might never see it. It feels like Tulowitzki back in the day. We saw that one really good year, and then he just never got healthy again. I know it's a weird comp probably, but older people might understand that. Josh Lowe, though, dropped for me.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely out longer for Cowser, and we were saying, at least with Cowser, maybe if you can afford to wait, you try to. But, yeah, it's 3 months. It's not looking good for Lowe. And even before that, I had concerns with platooning and this being bad against lefties in general. And the K rate spiked back up to where it was before his breakout 2 years ago. So, yeah, I'm not very optimistic that he was going to really break. I mean, the stadium was going to help him a lot, Low, but now that he's out for 3 months, yeah, you probably do have to drop him.
Yep, that's probably a drop situation. Hey, breaking news. Garrett Crochet and the Boston Red Sox agreed on a 6-year, $170 million extension. So,
oh, wow.
Boy got paid as we speak. Good for Crochet, because nothing worse than trading a bunch of assets for a 1-year rental. That is the worst feeling in the world. But yes, back to Josh Lowe. It's a shame. It's a drop. Right now, they called up Mr. Cameron Misner. They also have Jake Magnum, which is just like, good God, what a name that is. And he played on Monday. Very, very, very solid stuff there from Jake. We were all hoping to be Chandler Simpson. I think we still have to wait a little bit longer, it seems like, on that one. Any interest in any of these guys? I'm pretty sure Magnum was a popular pickup in 15s this week.
Well, Misner was added in one of my main events, and he was in my bid list before I decided to keep Kjerstad. And I forget who else. I think I wanted to drop Evan Carter somewhere. I don't know if I did or not. We'll review it when we go to our FAAB moves. But Misner he's kind of like Josh Lowe, honestly. Power, some speed. Terrible strikeout rates, though. This is Misner I'm talking about. He had played 3 games already. He played Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all versus righties. He played right, left, and center so far. He did Sat Friday versus a lefty. And then, Mangum, he played in right the last 2 days. He got called up on Sunday. He's a little better average than Misner did in the minors, but I think he didn't have as much power, and he had some speed too, from what I recall looking at when I was checking out his minor league profile. Because the announcement was that Mangum would get called up to replace Lowe, but Misner was already on the roster. I don't know. I forget why he was on the roster. And the RotoWire crew, Scott and Jeff, they talked about Misner last night. I don't know if there could be better players in 12-teamers, but in 15s, they're both, if you need outfield help, both Misner and Mangum are definitely guys to watch this week as you approach Sunday FAAB.
Yeah, so Mangum did not get added in any main events. Misner in 9 main event leagues. So there'll be a foray of bidding on them this weekend. Max Scherzer to the IL. He left Saturday start with a lat strain, which in the post-game interview he said was 100% due to his thumb injury not being healed. He was overcompensating for the thumb injury. So he said he has to sit out until that thumb is completely 100%. He has not been 100% with that thumb in a couple of years now. So that's not good. When I hear that, Ben, I'm thinking this is like shut down until it's healed, because you can't throw, obviously. At least that's what it sounds like. Again, I'm not a doctor. And then you have to ramp up again. So I'm thinking we get at least a month of no Scherzer, at least. This is a big blow to start the season. So any thoughts on this Max Scherzer deal? Because in 12s, he's a drop in 12s. You got to be a little aggressive there. In 15s, you probably hold a little longer.
I probably agree with that. And I believe I heard that Scherzer said it was hurting him maybe last year or 2023 as well. So maybe it needs surgery.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have something lingering like that and it's affecting him again, and he's 40, but at the same time he's 40, so how much time does he really have left? Maybe he just wants to try to fight through it and see if it heals without surgery. I don't know. It doesn't sound good at all. He was barely on the field last year, and he had the good underlying skills, Scherzer, but that's the only reason why he was appealing. I mean, you just can't trust him. And yeah, I guess it's tough. Kind of the same thing. If you can wait and see a little bit longer how long he may be out for, okay, hold on to him. But if you're tight with your injuries and you have some more important players that are hurt besides Scherzer, then you probably do have to drop him.
Yep, I completely agree. They haven't even announced a replacement for him in the rotation yet. They just called up a couple relievers. So I think it's either Yariel Rodriguez, but they did say that they really liked him in the 8th inning. So then it feels like it might be Jake Bloss time with the team. So I'll have to kind of wait and see on that. Jake Bloss, prospect that came over in the Kikuchi deal from the Astros last year. So it could be something of value there. We'll have to kind of wait and see on that. As we were talking, Magnum just stole his second base of the season. So that's fun stuff right there.
I think he was like 3 for 3 when I looked earlier.
Yeah, he's having a game. He's having a game, folks. Josh Young to the IL again. This time it's not the wrist, though. Neck spasms. He's been dealing with it for a couple of weeks. They finally sat him down, put him on the IL. Bruce Bochy said it's going to be a minimal stint. We'll see. Spasms don't really have a timetable. That's the hard part there. Josh Smith is playing third base. He got hurt, but he's back in the lineup today. Ezekiel Duran was there as well. Thoughts on Josh Young? Yet again, just can't stay on the field.
I guess the positive that it's a different injury this time, but he just can't stay healthy. This one seems a little less severe than the other ones we mentioned so far. Yes. Well, definitely is. So I guess he's also, him and Scherzer are probably arguably the two least important in terms of draft costs that you would have spent on these players. So I'd be more likely to drop Young in a 12, but in a 15, after all, I did spend a lot in FAAB last year to stash Young and it didn't work out. So I am a little biased. So I'd say probably drop Young. Maybe not in a 15 still, just wait and see, but in a 12 if you need to, it makes more sense, I think.
Yep, I'm with you on that one as well. A couple more real quick here. Gleyber Torres hits the IL with the left oblique strain. He was trying to just let it get better, but it's not 100%. And I think a small IL stint will help him. Usually oblique strains last a while, but then again, you've had like Jake Berger and a couple guys like 1 week we're back, no biggie type deal. So they're hoping to get Gleyber back shortly. Justin Henry Malloy was recalled from AAA. Any thoughts on this one?
It hurts. I have Gleyber in one spot, but it's weird that he usually I think you see obliques on swings and misses, and he hit a home run when he hurt it, which is kind of interesting. But the lineup's pretty scary in a bad way for the Tigers. I mean, they really only have Carpenter and Green who are reliable, and then you have Torkelson who's a flyer, and they could be a good streaming target for starters, the Tigers right now, especially at home. But it seems like it should be a brief IL stint, but oblique, I feel like they can flare up so easily. So he's got to be careful to not aggravate it and come back too soon. But it's probably like a 2-3 week thing for Gleyber. So hold on to him. But I don't know. It shouldn't get any worse than that, I don't think. Yep.
And the last one I got here, not a whole lot we can do about it, but Aaron Savali to the IL with a hamstring strain.
He got torpedoed.
The biggest thing, he got torpedoed. That's for darn sure. Biggest thing I have here is it's just this Brewers rotation could not afford to lose another pitcher, and here we are. So I don't know a whole lot else on Savali. He's an easy drop for me, but anything for you?
Well, they were trying the 3-man rotation earlier, and now they've added Chad Patrick to the mix, and that's a 4-man rotation. So I wonder if it's going to be, what's his name, Henderson, Logan Henderson getting called. Yep. Well, they have Quintana though, so he'll probably get called up before Henderson does, unfortunately. But
they have a few. Quintana will probably get the call. I was hoping Logan Henderson would get up there earlier, and Woodruff should be back in like 2 or 3 more weeks. So. Yeah. Not saying that's going to be the end all be all, but it's another option, basically.
I guess they have 3 spots because Elvin Rodriguez got torched.
Dude, that was bad. That was real bad.
Chad Patrick can't be any good either. So, and then Nestor got torched. they're in rough shape right now. Too.
Yeah, Nestor got torpedoed on 3 straight pitches. That was like Crimson Tide type torpedoing there. That's pretty good. But we'll see where that goes. Brewers in serious trouble. All right, you ready to recap some FAAB, Ben? We got NFBC OC Week 2 FAAB to recap, and going to be interesting. A lot of relievers to talk about here, Ben. A lot of relievers to talk about. So for those keeping track at home, we usually recap the OCs because they're 12-team leagues. Most people play 10s and 12s. I play mainly 12s with a few 15s. Ben plays primarily 15s, so he'll give his insights there as well, and it's just normal knowledge as we go, and just kind of give you guys our thoughts on what we expect from these players, if we would have, or whatever type situations. All right, we'll kick it off here at the top in the 12-team format. We have Luke Jackson, picked up at 187 leagues, as high as $424, as low as $24, which is great to see. In the chat here, Adam says, didn't really get in on the Luke Jackson bidding, though I did get him in one league for $43 with a $27 runner-up. So you had one of the lower bids this week, Mr. Adam, which is good. Just real quick for me, Ben, I didn't even put a bid in. I get it. He could get a bunch of saves. I missed out on Kirby Yates last year, but I also didn't pay for a bunch of other guys that didn't work out. Bochy likes his guys, but Luke Jackson's bad. He's not a good reliever unless he figured something out. Like, I got to see it firsthand with the Giants. He's not good unless something changed. So I just stayed away. I'm also fortunate that, knock on wood, my closers are intact still. So what are your thoughts, Ben?
Well, the top bids, that's a lot of money. I would not have spent that on Luke Jackson. I always want to say it'd be cool to know the distribution of all the bids, because all we see is the min and the max, and there's a lot in the middle because 185 other bids that we don't know what they were. But maybe I'll have to ask Jeff for that data eventually. But with Luke Jackson, I did put one bid in for him. In my one main event, I have Ryan Walker as my RP1, and then I have the really reliable duo of the Rockies closers as my RP2. So Yep.
So no, I have the distributions for you.
Oh, do you really?
You click on teams on the right hand side there. It was 424 with the runner up at 233. Wow. The next best was 331, 322, 321, 300. So 5 of them were over $300. So that's what you were looking for, right?
Oh, yes, exactly it.
Yeah, most of them are in the 200 range. So I would say.
Yeah, there's a lot over 100. Yeah, there's not many under 100. Yeah. Pretty aggressive.
Yes. So sorry to interrupt you, but I was like, we got him right here.
Perfect. Yeah, you learn something new on the website every year, I guess. I did not realize that.
Yep.
Yeah. So I had the Rockies tandem as my RP2, and I'm like, well, he would be a nice upgrade just for the ballpark alone and a better team. So I only bid like $74, I think, on Luke Jackson, and I did not come close. I think I lost by $100 in the main event. And then looking at his stats earlier, so far he has as many walks as strikeouts. Granted, it's been 3 games. The positive, though, is that Bochy went right back to him after the blown save. He's gotten 3 save opportunities and 3 appearances, so that's pretty closer usage to me. And then to your point about him just being bad, yeah, he had a 5.09 ERA last year with 2 teams. Fangraphs doesn't show which 2 they were in. With the Giants, it wasn't that bad in 2023. He had a 2.97. Estimators all in the 3s, mid to low 3s. But it was only 33 innings, and relievers can bounce back and forth year to year. We all know that. But yeah, a lot of people I've heard a lot of people saying that how bad he is, and last year was very ugly. A lot of xERAs, and the xERA and FIP were around 4 or higher. The xFIP was 3.81, so not terrible, but has kind of had a little bit of a high walk rate, but not terrible for a reliever. So I don't know. It could end up being kind of bad, and I didn't trust him as a dominant closer, so that's why I was below $100. But yeah, if you're desperate for saves, I get it.
Yeah, if I was in, I would have. If I wanted him, I would have put like $50 to $75, give or take. There was zero chance I was going anywhere over $200. Not a prayer in that scenario. I was just, I don't know. There's other guys I would have bid on that we'll talk about later that at least I think are better pitchers. Now they might have better situations because at least Jackson looks like he has the role till he loses it. But yeah, I was out on that one. I said the same thing about Kirby Yates last year. I was very, very wrong. So I think Kirby Yates is still a better reliever, but we'll see where that one goes.
I think people see that same team and they're expecting to get the same results out of Jackson that Yates provided last year.
Good point. Very good point. Jose Alvarado, second most added player, 179 leagues, as high as 307. 307, as low as $3. Wilmer Flores just went deep again. Good Lord. Ben, I don't even know what to say when I see $307 for Jose Alvarado. That's just like the dude looks good, looks real good, but holy shnikes.
So now I have this handy dandy teams button that I'm clicking all the time now, and that was an outlier bid. There was a 307 and only 6 above 100 after that, and they were mostly in the low 100s. So yeah, it's more like high. That makes more sense. Yeah, it's like high 80s, but still though, he's not even like, it's not like he's not Luke Jackson where Luke Jackson is the closer right now. Today in the Phillies game, I saw that Alvarado pitched the 8th inning, of course, and he's a lefty, which they're kind of discriminated against when it comes to closers more often than not. I mean, of course, you have the exceptions in history. Billy Wagner is the obvious one that comes to mind right away. But with Alvarado, I think Romano's still the guy. I pulled up Closer Monkey, which is also reliever recon. They still have where is the team? Phillies. They have Romano as the head of the committee, Alvarado second in line, and I think the same thing is on Roster Resource. They have it as like a 4-man committee though. They have Romano, Alvarado, Strom, and Kirkring all as the closer role. So it's gonna be a mess. I mean, I did have a bid for Alvarado initially, dropping it was either Halverson or Vodnik, and then I pulled it back because my thinking was, at least with Vodnik and Halverson, I have the Rockies closer. I don't know which one at the time, but if I were to drop one for Alvarado, I could end up winding up with no RP2. Whereas with Jackson, he's the closer right now, so I'd be trading in a 50-50 shot versus a pretty reliable shot for now. So yeah, with Alvarado, it's just I couldn't bid. I pulled my bid back, and I would not be in for this much money.
And I really like how you mentioned that. Like, I would definitely be much more in on Luke Jackson than Jose Alvarado if I was bidding on either one of them. So I'm with you there. Like, I like what Alvarado's doing. I think he's really good. I agree with what Adam says in the chat and what you mentioned. Like, he seems like if Romano loses his job, it's a committee. Like, Kirkering has earned the right to some spot saves out there. Alvarado can still get his. Because that's what they've done in the past. They've rotated in and out of guys and played the yo-yo game. So, to each their own. Maybe you just want a bunch of strikeouts with the occasional save. That's fine. Probably could have got Blake Trinan a lot cheaper if that's what you wanted. But yeah, like just thinking about that with Trinan and the Red situation, the Tiger situation, you get all of those guys cheaper than you just did Jose Alvarado, who is probably in a very similar role than most of those guys I just mentioned. So that's my only thought on that one. All right, let's talk about Kyle Manzardo. Was not even available in main events. So there you go there. Kyle Manzardo was added in 141 OCs, as high as 285, as low as $1. That is adorable. Absolutely funny stuff there. We'll go over my shares later. I did get one Manzardo in an OC, and he sat versus a lefty on Monday. So that was awesome. But what's your thoughts on this one? Because obviously I bid on him. I won him. I like everything I'm seeing so far. So your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a pretty obvious add in the OCs. I'm surprised he wasn't more highly rostered, but to how you said earlier, I'm just more used to 15s. And so one thing with Manzardo that's pretty important for most people is where he's playing, and he has yet to play the field. So he might be util only for a while longer, which is unfortunate considering he's young. And you think they'd want him to get his reps at first base. You don't want him to be a DH from the age of 25 on. It doesn't seem like it'd be a wise move for the organization. And then he also sat today, which I believe was against a lefty after he had started versus a lefty in opening day or whatever day it was. So it makes sense though. And I couldn't add Manzardo. He was drafted in the main events and the other 15 that I play in. That's a FAAB league. But this could be the breakout finally. I mean, it's only 3 games, so it's hard to say for sure, but it's definitely a promising start to the season for him. And I get chasing the upside in 12s, which is what you want to do. So I don't know. Looking back at the prices, though, yeah, the hitter's never as desired as the closer is, but some pretty good bids though. A lot above 100, good amount. So yeah, I think he's a solid add in 12s for sure.
Yeah, I was one of those over $100 ones. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 122. Dropped TJ Friedel for him, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah, I wanted him badly. I needed some pop on that squad. The util thing I'll deal with. It already came into fruition, though, because it made me have to bench Gavin Lux this week, and he had a good game already on Monday, so that stung. But I'm looking big picture here with that one, with the util spot getting clogged up. He better keep playing versus lefties. That's the only thing I'm concerned about. If they go back to this BS, I'm going to be very, very angry. But I believe there could be a definite breakout on our hands with Kyle Manzardo. All righty, let me go back to the main page here. Emilio Pagan. See, here's another guy. Added in 138 leagues, as high as 424, just like Luke Jackson. This time the min was $1. Like, that's wild. The only thing is after that, the rest of the bids are 126 or below. So that at least is palatable. I can live with those prices with Emilio Pagan. We saw Pagan get the save over the weekend with the Reds. And I think he's actually a decent reliever. Not saying he's a great reliever, decent reliever. So what's your thoughts on Pagan going for some big bucks in one league and then kind of more reasonable the rest of the way?
Right. Yeah, it's just another one of those committee situations, at least for now. So I pulled up roster resource. They have it as Pagan and Santillan as the 2 closers for the Reds, and then Closer Monkey roster or reliever recon has it as Pagan and Ashcraft along with Santillan. Is it Santillan? Is that how you
I call it Santillan.
Santillan. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Santillan. And so I pulled up Pagan's page, and because he does have experience, but it's all the way back in 2019 when he was really like a full-time closer for the Rays. He had 20 saves that season. He's had like 2 the year after that in the shortened season. Then he had none in 2021. Then he had 9 again in 2022. Then 1 each of the last 2 years, and then 1 so far this year for Pagan. But I think with Terry Francona there and looking at who they have in the bullpen, maybe they want to give Ashcraft a try, but I feel like Pagan is the favorite just because you have the veteran manager, and he might just want someone who's kind of experienced with the job, because the Reds, I'm sure they want to compete. I mean, they have a pretty solid staff. It's not the best. It's not the worst. They have a lot of young talent in the lineup. And the NL Central isn't very strong, so they probably do want to push and be competitive. So I could see Pagan getting the first shot for that reason. And so I think the only opportunity went to Jabot, and he blew it. So it's
he got Jagoed on that one. Get the heck out
there's probably a lot of different things we could say with his name.
Yes, it was just battle around, not just my puns, but yes, it was bad.
Yeah, you didn't help it at any, but yeah. So I get it. I would probably have preferred Pagan to Alvarado if I had to be honest. I think there's more of an open an avenue to him being the full-time closer than there is with Alvarado right now.
Agreed. Like, I would rather have Pagan than Alvarado. Again, these are all just specs. The fun thing about trying to predict fantasy is we're going to be wrong way more than we're right. But if you're just looking at the situations and the price points between the two that you had to pay for, like, I'll take my chance on Pagan for cheaper in that realm if we have to. And again, we haven't even got to Blake Trinan. Like, I'm pretty confident he's the number 2 in LA. Like, I'd almost go with that over all these guys so far. If I was in search of a guy. And honestly, I was looking at the Rockies guys that Ben talked about as well. Like, that's I rostered plenty of both of them last year, and I've drafted a bunch of them in DCs this year, so I get where his head's at as well. It's a rocky road, but you'll get some saves in the end. All right, another closer, Ben. Justin Slaten, or reliever, I should say. Justin Slaten, 138 leagues, as high as 158, as low as $1. A handful of, like, he pretty much got prices the same as Pagan outside of the one bid, and I'd have Pagan over Slaten as well. Slaten got the save when Chapman came in the 8th in high leverage, so he'll probably get some saves here and there, but Chapman's still the dude in my opinion. Same.
So I was surprised when I saw Slaten on the list because I didn't realize he did get the save. I missed that one, but yeah, I think they kind of said it was Chapman for now, I believe, and he has the experience.
That, and Chapman pitched the 8th in that game. Like, so yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, he got the win.
Yep. It was high leverage, so they brought him in when it mattered.
Right, and it could have been a couple of lefties. I don't know who he faced, Chapman, but yeah, reliever recon still thinks it's Chapman, I believe. So does roster resource. So the resources that we have available to us do say it's probably Chapman, but I would have put Slaten in personally, like in like the teens for a flyer as potential reliever. I don't think this one save means that he's the guy right now. A lot of people did like Slaten in DCs as before they started signing everybody, the Red Sox. So maybe that's why people are like, oh, this is the guy everyone was talking about in December and January. And now, look, he's in the save finally. But I think it could be a lot of blown fat potentially here.
Yeah, like, I think Slaten is the next man up if Chapman was out of the way. That's the thing. Is like,
well, if I think Hendricks will go before Slaten too, though, if he's back.
Yeah, true. Yo, Hendricks, yes.
Yeah,
With Hendricks out right now, it's like, okay, yeah, Slaten's the next guy. I get it, but again, I think Pagan is in line. Like, there's just a list of where we're going here. Again, pure speculating. But the Slaten one, the Slaten loves. Like, I expected him to get bid on, but I was like, nothing more than $50, right? Like, we're not going crazy here. No, we went a little higher than expected on this one. Now we're talking something, Ben. Ben Brown picked up in 137 leagues. This is where it's funny, Ben. All this money on closers that aren't even closers. Ben Brown, 2-step, and might actually be good. $62 max, $1 min for Ben Brown. This is why bidding in the OCs are just bonkers. I would have been all over this play if I need a starting pitcher. And I know I put bids in for Ben. I think I got him in 1 or 2. Absolutely love Ben Brown. So this was a no-brainer for me.
Oh, yeah, I agree targeting him for sure. He was drafted in mains, I think, because there was still uncertainty when I was drafting my main events that he would even make – there was a chance he could make the roster, and sure enough, he did. So I get it, and I was at the Athletics and the Padres. The Padres could be tough. He is home in Wrigley, so I don't know if that helps or hurts. If it's windy, blowing in, maybe it'll help him. But yeah, well, to start, as of us recording, it's almost 10 o'clock on the East Coast, and that's when the game starts for Brown and against the A's. So we'll have to see what happens, but it's definitely a good target for him. And I liked him a lot in DC's last year, Brown. pulled back this year. I think we talked about this earlier, but how once they started signing starters, the Cubs, I was like, well, it's going to take a lot more for Brown to make the rotation potentially. So I had him on that one DC, and that's it. But I think I threw him in my lineup this week. So hopefully he comes through. And I mean, I'm kind of done getting him, but I'm sure most of the OCs, he's swiped up in most of the OCs by now too.
Yep. And one thing I'm going to bring up for the listeners, 15s, obviously a lot of more guys are rostered because it's 15s and so on and so forth. But also the reason early on in OCs, not much, in a few more weeks, this should change. A lot of these guys are still available, like the Manzardos of the world, because so many OCs are drafted early, where most of the mains are drafted in like the last 2 to 3 weeks of the draft season. So there's more news on the table and so on and so forth. Still doesn't fix everything, but one reason why you'll have a lot more available in the 12s early on. All right. We'll get to never mind. We'll start with Seth Halverson first. you know how I was looking at it, didn't you?
Yeah, I see him next.
Yeah. So I'm like, wait. Well, let's skip ahead just yet. Seth Halverson picked up in 128 leagues, as high as 251, as low as $1. People are hungry for potential saves, Ben. Halverson had a save over the weekend. That was big. Where are you at on this one, though? 251 seems steep, but honestly, I'd probably like it more than Luke Jackson.
See, I almost dropped Halverson for Jackson, though. Well,
I think fair, at least Halverson's still like in a kind of committee, so I get it.
But Ryan brought it up in your guys' Discord today, and I saw it in the box score, but Vodnik got roughed up and not even a safe situation earlier, and he was the competition for Halverson. Of course, I played Vodnik last week for the 4 games or 4 days, and then then Halverson got the save, of course. But now I played Halverson, and so far Vodnik's gotten roughed up a little bit. So far, so good. But yeah, I liked Halverson in DCs. He had some pretty nasty stuff as a rookie last year. And I think he could maybe be okay where Coors doesn't kill him a lot. I think he might be a ground ball pitcher with good strikeout stuff. That's what you need in Coors, as long as you don't get too many line drives in the gaps, because those can go a long way. But looking at the bids, it was more like there were a lot more hundreds than I think a couple of the other guys we were talking about. So I think it was just that Halverson was already rostered in a few OCs, whereas the other guys kind of popped up over the weekend, and Halverson could have easily gotten drafted in those early ones like you just mentioned. So I think he's a pretty solid RP3 for an OC, and at least for me, he's someone I'd be looking to upgrade from if I can. But if I do have him I have him paired with Ryan Walker Halverson, I think that's a fine combo for a 15 right now.
Yep, I'm all over the Halverson as an extra reliever. I love that play. Obviously, I don't have as many shares. I have more in DCs, but I think he's definitely good. And keep an eye on Vodnik. He'll get his chance this year, just like he did last year. Hopefully, his arm doesn't fall off this time. Chris Paddock picked up in 91 leagues, as high as $50, as low as $1. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 leagues, all at $50, all by the same guy. Got him in 4 his 6 OCs. Oh, then he got him in another one for $20. So this person really liked
rough day for him.
Some Chris Paddock. Okay, I talked to a good friend of ours, a big high stakes 15-teamer. He has 4 leagues. He had Paddock going in 3 out of 4. So that was a sting as well. It's early in the season. Might be the only start you get with Paddock this year. We'll see. But I'm just going to leave it there. Not good at all. Thoughts on the ad? Because it was a 2-step, and you saw the good matchup. Today was the good matchup, though, Ben. Didn't go so good.
It's always the worst when that happens. Yeah, versus the White Sox. Who would have thought that Perez would have been the one throwing the no-hitter, and then Paddock got shelled? And now you have him for the Astros on Sunday. So you hope that he gets pushed back to the next week.
You hope he gets on the IL or something right about now.
Yeah, anywhere but the mound. That's where you want Paddock. Yes. So yeah, I mean, you just have to. I learned it last year. I tried to go on the bounce back with Paddock after the injuries, and I was like, nope, I'm not touching him at all this year. I don't care how late he is in the DC. I'm just not going to bother with it. So it seems like the obvious replacement for him. Maybe they give him another shot, the Twins, but I don't know. Teams are stubborn, as we were talking before we recorded. How there's some questionable start decisions and sit decisions early on. Maybe they want to see if he can recover from this outing. But if they do something with Paddock where he's out of the rotation, then it's either Zebby Matthews or David Festa. And they'll be pretty big ads whenever that happens.
They will be huge ads whenever that happens because most people drafted them and had to drop them most likely. We got Simeon Woods Richardson going on Tuesday. We'll see how that one goes. At the same time, to me, I think he's better than Chris Paddock, but a lot of contact there too. So we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. The White Sox are now, I think, 3-1 to start the season. Don't look now; they're almost like a third of the way to the win total last year. Mike Carter, there's hope, my friend. There's hope. There's hope.
You're not dead inside yet.
Nope. All right, the bus driver. Here's my third favorite ad so far that we've discussed. The bus driver, Otto Lopez. If for those that don't listen to Bubba and the Bloom, Otto, the bus driver on The Simpsons. Otto Lopez picked up in 87 leagues as high as $100, as low as $1. I'm a big fan of this. We went deep again on Monday. That's a couple home runs for Otto already. I think we knew in draft season, Ben, it's like, okay, pretty good average. Decent, like maybe 10 to 15 home run pop if all things play out. Good speed. Late second baseman if you punted type thing. Right now, I know it's super early, Ben, but he's making a case to be a regular in 12s at this point in time. So what's your thoughts on Otto Lopez?
Wish I had more in DCs. I did like Otto, but I gravitated to Tyro instead, who was going earlier than Otto. And I did get them on the same DC, so I was able to plug Lopez in for Tyro, so that made me feel good. But yeah, it's I wish I had more Otto. One thing to note, though, against lefties, he's batted second the last three games, Otto, which is also rare for them to have three lefties in a row so early in the season, versus the two righties. Lopez batted fifth for the Marlins. I mean, Stowers was hitting second for them, and he's gotten off to a decent start too, but maybe Lopez – I mean, it's kind of rough to have Edwards and then Lopez back-to-back to start off. That's kind of go back to the Marlins days of Juan Pierre and Luis Castillo. It's almost like the exact same build. It feels like all speed, no power. But I mean, they have it's like the worst lineup in baseball. I think the Marlins. I think it's worse than the White Sox. Yeah, but yeah, Lopez could. He's going to hit for a solid average. He did that last year at least, so hopefully it carries over and he's going to run. Which are both steals are easier to find now on free agency, but they don't come with a good average usually. So I think that's why it makes Lopez stand out, and I get adding him, and I would try to hold on to him if I could. I think he's going to be pretty good this year.
Yeah, I was in a tough spot. I always had my middle infield filled with another shortstop I liked. I have Luis Garcia on most of my second base spots. I'm like, I don't really need him as a utility player. So I kind of just let it go, but liked Otto a lot. Just didn't fit my teams. And maybe that's something I got to fix is even if it doesn't fit my team, like he's probably better than my fifth outfielder or something, like move things around, see how it works. I don't know. It's maybe a gap in my game. Who knows how that plays out. All right, a couple more here. Let's hit up Spencer Torkelson. Talked about him on the opening day, a home run, 4 walks against the Dodgers. He's been pretty solid so far to start the year. Already got on base and scored a run on Monday night. Torque was picked up in 82 leagues, as high as 222, as low as $5. That 222 is a bit high, but there was a 196 and 189 and 188. So a lot of at least about a third of the bids were all over $100. What's your thoughts on Torque? I think late in draft season, main events, he was drafted everywhere, I'd imagine, towards the end. But in these OCs, there were still like questions. Is he going to play? Is he not? So he kind of waited, and everyone saw what they needed to see in 4 games, Ben.
Right. I mean, and I mentioned earlier with Torres how weak the Tigers lineup is. So Torkelson, as long as he's hitting, he's going to play. He's going to they have him at first base now. He was DHing at first, but now Carpenter's kind of DHing. They've been cycling guys through that spot. And just a year ago, Torkelson was like almost a top 100 pick, and I was in on him last year, and I got burned, and I was pretty hesitant to buy back in. And my one main event, I was between him and Ben Rice. Luckily, Ben Rice has homered already to match Torkelson's 1 homer, but Torkelson has a steal, and he has the better pedigree than Ben Rice does. So I don't know if I made the right choice by going with Ben Rice over Torkelson in that draft, but we'll see. I mean, it's only 3 games for Torkelson. Who knows what's going to happen? He has struck out twice in the last 2 games apiece, and that was always a big issue for him. But it's definitely a good start, and I get chasing the upside, and I would have done the same thing if I was playing in 12s.
Yep. I like this pickup a lot. Again, I went and got Manzardo in 1 league. I think I got Torque somewhere else. I know I put him in a lineup today, so I'm pretty sure I got him somewhere, which is a positive because I'm a believer. Like, he's a young kid. He might not be back to what he was a few years ago, but he's definitely not as bad as he was last year either. So that's a big plus. For those, we'll get back to the FAAB in a second. For those curious, Camilo Duvall is in the 7th inning of a 5-0 Giants game. So I think Ryan Walker's okay, folks. Just gonna throw that out there right now.
That feels good.
Yeah, you're not even in the 8th. It's the 7th of a 5-0 ball game. So I think we're a little. Let's just sigh of relief, everybody listening. We're okay for now.
I did get a Duvall save though in a DC, so that felt good.
Oh, I put him in my
short
DC
lineup.
I put him in a couple of my DCs today just because like if better than some other pitching options, let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. And I was like, screw it. If Walker's hurt, whatever. Like I got a chance, throw him out there, see what happens. Because he's still looking great right now, make Christian Walker look foolish right there. So that was good.
That's not good though. Don't like.
Oh that. Yeah, because we have a lot of I'm with you there too. Blake Trinan, here's the guy I've been waiting for. Picked up in 81 leagues, as high as 227, as low as $1. I watched that save live the other day when Tanner Scott, I think, pitched the 8th. Kirby Yates didn't even get into the game. Trinan looked filthy. And this is where it's funny to me, Ben. Talked about all those other guys that are in committees. Trinan had a $227 bid, $138 bid, winning bids. The rest were $78 or below, Ben. Like, maybe I'm just crazy. And you can tell me if I'm wrong. Out of all the committee guys we've talked about, this is the one I would be wanting.
Yeah, I'd want him over Alvarado for sure. I'd want him over Slaten for sure.
Pagan,
I would still prefer Jackson. What was that?
I said Pagan's close.
Yeah, it's Pagan and him are close. See, the thing is they have Scott, who they gave all the money to, but this is more telling for Scott than I think it is Trinan. It just means that Scott is not getting all the saves like Robertson lied to us about when he said whatever he said in spring training.
Shocker.
Yeah, that never happens really, especially with the Dodgers because they always have guys that get tons of saves, right? Or they have a lot of guys who get saves. They don't have one guy who gets a lot of saves, is what I meant to say. Yeah. So I learned my lesson with Evan Phillips a couple years ago with the Dodgers, and it's just kind of funny how we thought it could have been Yates, and now he's like an afterthought now with the Dodgers for the bullpen. It's either Scott or Trinan right now, and yeah, I wouldn't have gone too crazy with him, but I think he's kind of high. He's more high. He's like in the middle of the hierarchy of all the guys we talked about so far. Trinan. I wouldn't put him at the top, but I wouldn't put him at the bottom either.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that of all the guys we talked about, he got the kind of the short end of the stick on this one. A couple more. Landon Roop picked up in 80 leagues, as high as 101, as low as $1. Some people started adding him last week. He got the 5th starter spot with the Giants. Takes on the Astros on Tuesday, so we'll see how that one goes. I love Landon Roop. I was not going to break the bank for Landon Roop in a 12-team league. 15s, he's widely rostered. But any thoughts on Landon Roop on FAAB this week?
I get it. It feels like everybody wanted the Giants' 5th starter. But when it was Birdsong, everyone wanted Birdsong. Then when it was Roop, everybody wanted Roop. So I get it. It's a good park to pitch in. I think we talked about him last week or recently, Roop,
Probably.
And it was just he wasn't the best in the majors last year. Granted, it was his first time up, so people can always improve. But he also didn't pitch a whole lot in the minors, I don't think, last couple of years. So who knows how long he'll be up. There is like Birdsong still on the team. They could piggyback him with Roop just to keep them both fresh. But I know a lot of people were in on Roop, and it's I get it. It's just I don't know if I would be very confident that he's going to like actually come through and be a smash, but I get taking a flyer on him.
Yep. I liked that quite a bit. If you're an Emerson Hancock owner, you didn't even get 2 outs in the first inning, so congratulations on that. The Bad Tigers lineup, they're already hitting around in the first inning. Wilyer Abreu, this one, I get this one completely, but here's my sarcasm. We knew who he was, and this is who he is. He hits right-handed pitching well, sits versus lefties. This is the Wilyer Abreu experience. I know there was health concerns through preseason, which kind of aided here, but Abreu was added in 77 leagues, as high as 155, as low as 17. Again, he's good. He might have actually had his best week of the year last week at the same time. So let's keep that like grain of salt on that. I had bids in on him, but I don't know. Were you paying a lot? Were you willing to pay a lot for a guy like Wilyer Abreu?
Well, in my 15s, I couldn't because he was drafted everywhere. But with that said, though, he's a platoon bat, like you said, and I would not. He's a streamer in 12s, I think, because I went down the path last year on one of my main events where I had all these left-handed platoon bats, And yeah, it sounds great in theory, but you can't always get them to align perfectly. I mean, you kind of hope that if you have enough of them, that the schedule will kind of work out where it's obvious. Okay, I'll play this guy this week, or this Monday through Thursday. Then on the weekend, I'll play this guy, and you kind of rotate them all in and out. But sometimes a few of them have a couple lefties in that little stretch of the schedule, and then you're kind of stuck between, okay, well, I'm going to get a max of 1 or 2 games from the spot no matter what I do. And that hurts when your competitors potentially have a full-time player in that spot. So that's why I've been hesitant to try to go after the strong side platoon bats, even though they are in the strong side platoon. It's just that they're missing out on bats when they are in your lineup, unless you get a full slate of righties. And I looked at the Red Sox lineup on Roster Resource, and tonight was a lefty and Wilyer sat, which is no surprise. So he's kind of like Jock, but maybe with some more speed, and he has a position at least. But so it makes Abreu more valuable. But in terms of stats, you shouldn't really expect a lot more than what Jock would give you. And I feel like Jock's a streamer in 12, so that's where I stand.
And I'm going to compare it to this player that was added in 19 leagues, only 19 leagues. Pavin Smith, as high as $26. Like, I think Abreu is probably better than Pavin Smith, but very similar. They're going to sit versus lefties. Pavin's got like a lot of similarity. Like, Abreu runs probably more than Pavin Smith. I get it, but I'm just making a point of a platoon player and a 12. Yeah. That's where you got to just churn and burn it and understand the situation. Again, I think Williers is very good. It's just going to be very frustrating when he sits, and it's going to like breaking the bank for a player like that. It's out of my comfort zone. Let's put it that way.
And there's a lot of mouths in that Boston outfield as well.
Yes, there is. All right, Ben, let's recap our ad drops. We got some listener questions in the chat. We got a listener question from Twitter we'll get to, but let's recap what we did this week because, again, it's so early. I'm so bad at just dropping guys quickly. I'm a little patient, so only a couple moves in each league for me, but we'll start with you. What took place in your formats?
I was pretty hesitant to spend big as well, but I did make some moves. So my New Jersey main event, this was an ad I was pretty proud of. After I talked him up, I dropped Jared Kelenic for Leody Taveras, 24-15, which I was pretty happy with. I only $9 overspent I can deal with. That's my only move in that league. So just Taveras dropping Kelenic. In main event 2, this was my favorite ad of the week. I added Max Muncy on the A's. I dropped Luis Angel Acuna, 36-33. It looks like Acuna is just going to be, for now, short side platoon with Beatty. He is playing right now because Lindor is on paternity. So I think I did start Acuna in a DC for the 3 games because I think Lindor will be out for 3 games, at least 2. But I think Muncy is going to get a lot more playing time going forward, and I want that in the main event. So Muncy for Acuna, and that was it in that one as well. So far 1 apiece. Main event 3, I added Jack Sawinski. So we were talking about this on Sunday. I added Captain Jack Sawinski, dropped Evan Carter 12-0. Sawinski's got a couple steals. He was starting again today. I don't know how he did, but I think he's going to be playing for the Pirates, it seems like. So I'm like, well, he has the power and speed. They have a terrible average probably, but in a 15, if he's playing a lot and has that power and speed combo, I'm going to take a chance on it. I'm surprised there was no backup bid, but maybe everyone else has been burned like you seem like you were too. So,
well, and me, I'm using more of the 12 mindset. I get it in a 15. I get that in a 15 for sure.
So I thought it was an appealing ad and see what happens. And then I added Zach McKinstry. I dropped Luis Angel in this main event as well, 6-2. So good flexibility with McKinstry, and he's going to play a lot with that awful Tigers team. And then the listener league for you and Ryan, I added Jack Sawinski again, dropped Evan Carter 12-0 again. Here I added Dean Kramer, dropped Tony Gonsolin 8-0. I now have Kramer on, I think, 8 of 11 teams.
You mentioned that in the Discord recently. You're very invested in Dean Kramer these days, which, hey, he had a heck of a spring. We've seen him be. I think I referred to him in a recent article, maybe my FAAB article this past weekend, that he's like he's a bench streamer. Like you're not going to drop him, but you're not going to start him every week.
Right. Yeah. So I played him everywhere on all 7 teams last week. I got a win. I was kind of like, I'll take the 7 wins. Wasn't the best ratios, but it's early. And I remember looking in my DCs is where it started. Obviously, he was like a 4.2 with a 1.2 ERA whip at around pick 400. That's going to play all day in the DC, especially on a good team where he's going to get wins. So I thought it was a no doubter at that point to take him because he was one of the most sure innings guys at that point in the draft. And now that we're in FAAB season, it's, like you said, just keep him on my bench if I don't want him. I don't think I played him at all this week, Kramer. I had better matchups now that we have a full week of rotations, but I'll take him in a 15 all day. And then, you're going to love this one. So my third ad in the listener league was our boy Rowdy Tellez dropped Lamont Wade 1-0. So
beautiful.
Just wanted a backup first baseman there.
Yep, I like that one quite a bit, my friend. Sorry, did you have anything else?
I can talk about my 12 team. I haven't done a whole lot there, but so are you gonna break them out 15 and 12, or are you gonna do them all at once?
I'm just gonna do them all at once. Just do all yours.
All right. So my home league, which is 12 teams on Yahoo, it's a keeper league. So last week I added Jonathan Aranda, I added Griffin Jacks, and then I dropped Jacks today for Emilio Pagan. So I got a piece of Pagan.
Nice. All righty. So let's kickstart things here. One of my OCs got Manzardo, dropped TJ Friedel, 122-87. And trust me, that was tough. I know Friedel's got Great American and all that, but if I had to pick between the two, picking Kyle Manzardo in that one.
Were you good in speed on that team?
Yes, that was, trust me, that was one of the big things I looked at. Yes, I was. And I'm really good in speed because of this other move I made. And he's starting again for Joe Adele tonight. That's Kyron Paris. Dropped Andrew Heaney, $3 to no runner up. Paris already has an RBI triple and a stolen base again tonight. Boy, he's balling. I referred to him as Rengifo-esque if they let him play. Like, he plays every infield position, plays in the outfield, power and speed. Like, there's a lot to like about this kid. Just got to get the reps. Not sure he's going to get him enough when Adele comes back, but he's playing a lot better than him early on. Beat Bubba OC. I got outbid on everything that I bid on, so I got nothing there. That was exciting. Wasn't trying to be too aggressive because actually, knock on wood, have no injuries there. My 250, one of my 250 standalones got Pavin Smith, dropped Joe Adele 7-0. Joe Adele's, I love him, but man, there's questions to say the least. The Bubba and the Bloom live in Vegas 250 got Torque, dropped Dalton Varsho 46 to a runner-up of 44. So that felt real good.
Well done.
There's my Torque I was talking about. 15-team Bubba the Bloom listener league got Luis Ortiz for a 2-step. Dropped Christian Moore 7-7. That felt good. Added Lamont Wade, dropped Cutter Crawford 6-1. They faced a bunch of righties this week, and I didn't have the luxuries of a Rowdy Tellez like you did. 150 Olac, got Lamont, dropped Caleb Durbin 6-1. I almost did. I think Durbin deserves to be up any moment, but the Brewers are just tanking already. Then I got Kyron Paris, dropped Zach DeZenzo 2-0 on that one.
The Brewers might need Durbin to pitch soon.
Yeah, no doubt. So that'll be it for me. We're not going to do Barf and Earth or TGFBI on this kind of stuff. But yeah, pretty quiet week for me once again, to say the least.
Yeah. Which I'm fine with. I mean, we get to spend in mid-season when a lot of guys get dropped for injuries and stuff. That's when you can really pounce and make your teams really good.
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's like, I'm looking at my roster. I drafted all these guys. We played 4 games. Like, what am I doing? Like, they're healthy. Like, there's no need for me to, like, yes, these guys are cool on the waiver wire, but that's the hardest part, just sitting back and realizing, okay, the shiny new toy, like I'd say maybe 10% of the time turns out to be a full season ad. Just sit back and be patient. That's my philosophy. Everyone's different. Of course. All right, in the chat here, Adam said, for my 1 stash per team across all my OCs, he had Alexis Diaz for $7 in 2 leagues, Porter Hodge, and Bubba Chandler. I'm a Bubba Chandler stash as well. Just wanted to give him a shout on that. Frank said, was sniped on Hunter Goodman and got stuck with Elias Diaz. Is he a viable second catcher in a 15-team league, Ben?
He actually is my catcher 2 in a main event right now, but I'm waiting for Tyler Stevenson to come back. But I'm fine with Elias Diaz right now. Yeah.
I am with you. I have so many Tyler Stevenson shares. I think Elias is on half of my Stevenson teams as my catcher 2 right now. I'm not even kidding. Like, it's not an exaggeration. So, yes, he's fine for both of us. I even have him in 12-team leagues right now because I have no choice. So, yes, play your Elias Diaz while you can.
He has some upside there.
Yep. Then Adam says, does the Torres injury affect Torque's at-bats at all? Might give him more at-bats because Colt Keith can move to second base.
Yeah, it's probably the only that's the angle on how it would affect him directly, I think. So, and that's why Torque's at first now. That makes sense because Keith was at first to start the year, and Torque was DHing. So I missed that when I was looking at the team before. But yeah, that makes sense. But if Torque keeps hitting, it doesn't matter what happens when Glaber gets back.
Joe G has a question here. We have to rate his transactions for the week. So he added Trevor Larnach, put Colton Cowser on the IL. That's good. Good.
Yep.
Yes, good. Added, I'm guessing, It's either Tyler or Trevor McGill. He dropped Slaten.
I'm assuming. Well, yeah, I would assume it's Tyler.
I would assume Tyler too, which I think I'm good with.
Know what I want? I wish we had those 10, like the cards with a 10 on it and a 9, so we could throw up like ratings. What our rating is.
Yes, it'd be good.
Yeah, I agree with the Tyler one.
Added Luke Jackson, dropped Brisky. Good there.
Yep.
Yes. Then added Victor Scott, dropped Conforto. I'm good there too, because Conforto's platooning weirdly.
I'm really upset I don't have any Victor Scott.
Yeah, he went deep too. That shocked me. So
yeah, he hit a home run and a steal in that one game.
Yes. So, yeah, Joe, I think you did good on all 4 of those, at least from our educated opinions here.
Yeah, don't get too tied to Tyler though at 12, but I do have him in a couple 15s.
Yes, I have my Tyler shares. To me, he's like a bench streamer, kind of like a Dean Kramer.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I'm treating Tyler. Like, he's not an auto start for me every week, but he's definitely a guy I know I'm going to utilize hopefully 50% of the time each month. That's just kind of what it feels like with him. So 100% with you on that one. All right, my friend. That'll wrap us up. Oh, wait, we got a question in chat here. Sorry. Frank said, is Jordan Leisure rosterable, potential closer? You got to be pretty deep league right now.
He's still in the White Sox?
I believe so, yes. I think that's Clevenger's world we're living in until Clevenger gets traded.
They keep putting Clevenger everywhere but the 9th inning, though, it feels like.
That's true.
Yeah. I'd rather just have Clevenger for now, I think.
Yeah. That's my biggest thing. It's like, yeah, like Leisure could get his roles, but 2 things to consider. It's the White Sox, given they're 3-1. We just made the joke. They're actually winning baseball games. But, like, if you look at it, Clevenger, he got a hold and a loss in his 2 outings. Leisure got nothing and a hold. So, yeah, that's tricky. Tricky stuff, to say the least. Plus, they're blowing teams out. You can't even get saves. There's no saves in Chicago. They're blowing teams out.
Yeah. Well, I think the Clevenger hold would have been a save if they didn't score those runs.
It was. They scored more runs, and it kind of screwed. Like, oh, no, because he came in the 8th with 1 out, and then they scored more runs the 9th, so they didn't bring him back out there.
Right.
He would have got like a 4-out save.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point, my friend. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Any final thoughts as we get into our first full week of baseball here? And I'm having a blast just having games on.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the full week of this. We've been waiting all winter for it. It's still kind of winter here in New York. It was almost 70 today, though, but it's like a tease. But it's going to get cold again, and I'm just glad baseball's back. It's great.
Yes, it is great, and we'll be back with you guys next week to keep recapping FAAB each and every week. Bubba and the Bloom coming at you Tuesdays and Thursday nights as usual. Your Bloom boards on Tuesday, your FAAB previews on Thursdays. I'm going to start bringing back some later in the week Bench with Bubba episodes, hopefully at least twice a month, if not more, as the season goes on. So plenty of content to go around. Plus Breakfast with Bubba. Go check that out. Coming at you multiple times a week. All the goodies there on Patreon for the Bubba and the Bloom. But until next time, make sure you follow Ben on Twitter at BreakingBen_T. I am at BDentric. This was Bench with Bubba, episode 756. Catch you all next time.